All right, we are live. This is
Hello,
good. This is
hello.
awesome, awesome. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope we're enjoying the weather. Dr. Olabintan here. I hope people live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. I'm excited. We're having a conversation on how to help your elderly parents without breaking down. I'm going to share the story real quick. I've had patients who come. When I ask what's going on, I'm worried about my parents, taking care of my kids, trying to balance it all, and they shoulder the responsibility of everything. And so, in having conversations with patients, you find out, you know what, they're carrying too much a burden that they don't have to carry by themselves. And so, this is why we're here. If you are watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching replay, hashtag replay. But I'm honored to have the CEO, founder of Restoring Function, correct? I said that right?
Yes,
Restoring
correct.
Function.
You got it.
Jessica Busby. I should have asked you how
You
to
got it.
pronounce it. I got it. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. How are
Thank you
you?
for having me. I'm great. I am wonderful. We are enjoying the beautiful weather. Just finished a baseball playoff game as a mom. So when I tell you I come from having to juggle multiple things at one time, I'm definitely in the trenches with family members that I see having the same issues. So
Awesome, awesome. So curious
yeah.
minds want to know, why did you start Restoring Function? What was the story behind that?
So, a little bit about myself. I am a physical therapist by trade. I graduated over 20 years ago and started in the field. I started thinking that I really wanted to go into sports medicine, outpatient orthopedics. So, I dabbled a little bit in an orthopedic setting, transitioned over into neuro, fell in love with neuro. And then I went into the skilled nursing setting. And what I saw in the skilled nursing setting, I loved. I was seeing patients temporarily as they transition from an acute care setting and then transitioning into the home. And so I found that it was difficult for patients once they returned home. Not There wasn't a really great transition between the two different places. And so what we created was a time that we would discharge plan with the patients and the families, and we would take the patient to their home, typically around 2 weeks prior to discharge, and we would go measure the height of their toilet, their bed, see their own personal environment, and then we would come back to the facility, and then we would try to facilitate that as best we could to properly prepare them for discharging home back into that environment. And so I loved it, and in that arena of skilled nursing, I fell in love with the geriatric population. And I got to be a voice for them, which was amazing. And, just building their quality of life and just giving them the most independent functioning as possible as they could as they're aging. So then I started dabbling in a little bit of home health because I have a husband and I was going to grow my family and I wanted a little bit of flexibility. And I found that the home health setting was going to be more flexible for my growing family. And so I started there and I saw a lot of great things in home health. And I come from an entrepreneurial family and decided this is something that I really want to do. It was hard. I started the company out of my home and transitioned into my first brick and mortar. And then we've now grown to our second office space that was larger, and now we're growing out of that one. So, but what got us there is we started developing relationships with people in our community and started making differences. I will tell you that I don't know if you've ever heard the story, but there's a guy that's walking along the beach and the tide's gone down and all these starfish are stranded. And he picks one starfish up and he throws it back into the ocean. And a runner comes up behind him and says, "What are you doing? Why did you throw that starfish? There's thousands stranded. You're not really making a difference. There's thousands upon thousands that are stranded." And he didn't say anything. And he picked one up and he threw it in the ocean. He said, "I just made a difference in that one's life." And so that really stuck with me. And, we started off extremely small. We started with no patients, and then we had 1 and 2 patients. And then we started to grow. And it was all about the quantity of care that we were providing and being in that home setting to really strengthen the patient's function in their home. And so we birthed the name Restoring Function because that's exactly what we do. We're restoring the function in the lives of the patients, their families, their caregivers, and then sometimes having to have that hard conversation if we need to transition them to a higher level of care. So that's really what's been going on. I've been the CEO and owner of Restoring Function and Joint Commission accredited for over 12 years. It's been my mission to help aging adults maintain their independence, but while also really monitoring the caregivers that are taking care of them, because they have a huge role to fill as well. We want them to be able to keep their dignity at home while having family there to care for them, or even friends or any caregivers that we can help, transition that support to them.
I like that you say that, because the caregiver is also a key piece in that. So I love what you
For
do.
sure.
I love you do it, and your name.
Yeah.
We've had clients that you see and you do what
Yeah.
you say you do. So this is good. Now,
Thank
for
you.
those who are watching, who are like, okay, let's get to the meat of it. Like I'm
Yeah,
feeling
for sure.
overwhelmed, and I feel like but what are the biggest challenges that you've seen in the years of doing this that people face when caring for their aging parents? What are the biggest challenges, so we can normalize it some?
So I think the biggest challenge that these individuals face is knowing where to start. Healthcare in general is overwhelming. Mom, dad, family member, whoever has just gone to the hospital, or maybe they're just growing older and they don't know what resources are available. So there's so much information out there, but people just don't know where to start. Utilize resources, utilize your physicians. And we typically, when we get involved, we guide them to resources that are available to them, so that they can have options. Families often feel overwhelmed trying to navigate the healthcare system. And so we help try to facilitate that. They have to make tough decisions too. Am I making the right decision? Am I making the wrong decision? It's very, very, very overwhelming. So I would say plug in, utilize resources around you. And if you don't know what resources are available, then reach out to the providers that are currently caring for your loved one, because they have the ability to steer you in the direction, at least get you started.
All right. So ask for help. Don't try to do it alone. That's one of the things. Some people don't know they have options. Yes, you may have to call your insurance. Yes, to find out who's a network or what's not. But you can get a team to help support that family member. What's another challenge that you see a lot?
Burnout. I see a lot of burnout. I see a lot of just not even giving themselves permission to ask for help, right? You hear the saying, like when you get in an airplane, right? Put your oxygen mask on first before you assist your, partner next to you. Why? Because you can't give from an empty cup. And so I see burnout in caregivers because they allow that overwhelming feeling to get to them to where they're not able to make decisions. And so again, lean on your trusted professionals, your physicians, any caregiver that's currently providing for your family member. Reach out to them and see if they can't guide you in that direction, because getting started is the number one thing. And then allowing yourself to ask for help is huge.
So when you say asking for help, we're talking, so one of the things I do is ask, like sometimes I'm seeing the child, so the adult child who's caring for the elderly, because that's a trigger for lack of sleep and hypertension. So we always go root cause. And then I say, I need you to ask the physician for your parent, what are resources? Can we have home health aid, right? Can we do a home health aid referral? Can we talk about that a little bit? So for the person who's watching, who's like, well, my parents don't want strangers to come into the house. That's a big one I see. They prefer me. I'm that one. I've always been the one that takes care. I'm the one that everyone goes to. So it's kind of my role. And so there's that. I'm not sure my parent will want a stranger come to the house. How do you navigate that one?
So I definitely would say allow the referral to happen and make the patient part of the decision-making process, right? It's ultimately about them, and give them the opportunity to interview for themselves. Let's see if, mom, dad, let's see if it's a good fit for you. There's nothing wrong with that referral source coming out. For me, we're a home health agency, so we typically would send the RN. The RN goes out, does an evaluation. It doesn't mean that we're anchored at staying. It just gives us an opportunity to introduce ourselves, to let the family and the patient know what services we do provide. I often find they worry it's a financial burden, and they don't realize that we are able to be in the home as long as there's a physician order and a skilled need. typically your insurance will cover it. And so even if it's for a temporary amount of time, for us to help get things straightened out and to be educational for the caregiver. It doesn't often take a lot for us to be able to go in there and do some teaching, and to meet some goals pretty quickly. And so definitely on the home health setting, we're a medical team, and so we get to come in there. And also we often find that even though, like you said, the adult child is the caregiver, sometimes they can say something and we'll come repeat the exact same thing that they said, but the patient takes it differently. Why?
Right.
Because they sometimes get defensive with, their daughter, their son, the family member, and they're going, Mom, I just said that. And we're like, yeah, but it's just different when sometimes it comes from a different perspective. There's also private pay caregiving services where you can have someone come in and just provide a few extra hours a day. And again, it's all about the interview process. You need to build a rapport. I totally understand. And most of us in the healthcare setting understand. You're right. You're vulnerable. This is your home. This is your environment. It's different than your normal routine, but we're trying to prevent hospitalization, infection, all these things. And it doesn't have to be temporary. You can fire anybody at any time, right?
Yes,
you're the reason we're here to take care of you. And so just allowing that initial introduction into the home, and then making the patient feel like they're part of the decision-making process, because they have to be. Yeah.
That is cool. A lot of times my adult kid, oh my gosh, the adult kid of the Asian parent, it's like,
yes.
I told you she needs this. I'm like, I know that their joints are not working as well. They may be, having memory issues, but they're still adults who value their independence. And so when they have a sense of, you're not having me involved, then actually can make their symptoms worse. Some actually get depressed, which wasn't mentioned. And so
sure.
this is verbal gold. Get them involved in the interview process, help them build rapport. Now, my next question to you, though, Jessica, is I have adult kids here who are watching who are like, but I feel like I'm abandoning my parent. And I sense that there's they don't like that I see them as a burden. How do you navigate? How do you counsel the children in this?
I tell family members all the time, during that building the rapport, is allow us to have those tough conversations. Again, because sometimes when we bridge the gap, we let the difficult conversations land on us, so that the family members don't have to take that burden, right? And so, again, we're happy to meet with parents or the aging adult children that are caregiving. We're happy to meet with them and go over, like, give us some feedback on what's going on with your mom, your dad, your family member, and let us go in and have those tough conversations, because you might be feeling that way. And that's normal. That's so normal. So when we normalize those feelings and then we take over as far as the conversation is concerned, it's amazing. It's amazing what sometimes we can get out of a patient. Family members, I do it with my son. When COVID happened and I had to be a teacher, God bless my children, I am not a teacher, and my volume would get louder. How do you not know the answer to this? And I had to walk away because my husband would come to me and say, Jessica, like, seriously, you're yelling, we're getting nowhere. And so when you allow yourself to be removed from the situation, although I'm like, I'm the mom, I should be able to do this with him, it's just homework, and then I feel like as a mom, I'm abandoning him. I should be able to teach him. He's only in 5th grade, those kinds of things. That's normal. So normalize that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have those feelings, and let the specialist walk you through that. Sometimes we get in the home and we make very small adaptations to the environment, which make major impacts. And it's, that's our world. That's what we do. That's normal for us, but it can be mind-boggling for the patient or the family member. And so that's our job, to come in there and ease that burden for you. So put it on our shoulders and let us be the ones to have those tough conversations.
I like that. Let them have the tough conversation. It's almost like what came to mind right now is almost like, with your kids, they're upset when you set certain boundaries, say they can watch this, can't watch that. But because you love them past their resentment of you in that moment, because for the long term they'll be better for it, you allow them to feel their feelings, because you love them
Sure.
past they like you or not. is similar, I think, for our parents too. We know long term we want what's best for them, and that includes creating a team that helps them optimize their living situation so we can better help them too and
Mhm.
increase their capacity. So, for those of you watching, Dr. Mitra, I mean, shout out to you for all the things you do. Please let this be an encouragement. Because you love them, you're going to curate a system that helps them so that even though they may feel, you feel a little guilty and they may like, oh, they sometimes they do the guilt trip
Mhm.
because
Mhm. Mhm.
you let that
For
go. But
sure.
Jessica, can we talk about some of the things like success stories, like things you help with optimization? I know you go and look in the home. Can we give examples of things that have caused like a difference in quality of life for these clients?
We often find, well, in the evaluation process, we're looking at everything. We have physical therapy, we have occupational therapy, we have speech therapy, we have CNAs, and oftentimes we bring in a social worker as well. And so what we do in our world is we're going to go evaluate everything from walking, transferring in and out of, the bathroom, shower, on and off the toilet, in and out of your bed. And the occupational therapist is looking at activities of daily living, feeding, dressing, bathing, all of those things. Our job is to give that patient as much function, independence as possible with dignity. That's a big deal. So if I can simply work with my occupational therapist, the occupational therapist does the evaluation, deems that the patient, they can be independent in the shower, but they need to be seated while they're in the shower. Let's decrease that risk for falls. We order the durable medical equipment. For those of you that don't know DME, that's durable medical equipment. We order that piece of equipment, we get it in the shower, we train the caregiver, we train the patient. They're all of a sudden independent again, no falls. So it's just, again, it's sometimes minor. Narrow pathways, increasing those pathways. If we have to adjust furniture, if, we have to add visual reminders around the home for cognitive things that they're, dealing with, whether it's dates or just so many things that we can come up with to help them feel independent in their home, but safety is the number one thing. And there's so many things that we think about, that maybe those caregivers or the patients that don't have caregivers that they're not thinking about. But again, it takes those specialists to come in who they do this every day. They're working with patients every day. We learn every day from every patient. We're constantly learning, even though we've been in the field for some of us over 30 years. Every patient teaches us something new, right? I didn't think about that. And we all collaborate together. But it's a whole problem solving thing that we do and work with the family and the patient to make their environment as safe and as independent as they can be in their environment. So,
wow. Now for those, I have a good question here. Grace, thank you for joining. She says, for those who are not quite in the stage yet, do you have any tips for how we begin to prepare for this stage as our parents are kind of aging? That's a good question. Any tips?
Start the conversation. Start the conversation with your aging parent. What do you want this to look like if something were to happen? Get involved in Facebook groups. If there's any Facebook, utilize social media. We have technology at our fingertips. There's also a resource in Texas called 211. That's a resource that you can call for if people need assistance with different things. So I definitely recommend that. Also utilizing that area agency on aging. It's a great resource for caregivers, but really just starting the conversation. If you're not familiar with Area Agency on Aging, it's through the United Way. They do provide respite care. So let's say maybe you're the caregiver, you haven't utilized any professional services yet, but you need a break, right? And so there are places, you've got skilled nursing facilities around and through the Area Agency on Aging, where you can get a respite care. What does respite mean? Respite means you temporarily have someone that comes in and taps in for you. So again, the patient has to be comfortable with that, with someone coming in their home and or going to a facility. We have families all the time that ask, I'm going on a trip, I'm the full-time caregiver for my mom, I want to be able to have that time with my family, what do I do? There are facilities in the area, those skilled nursing facilities that have so many beds available, and you just call them and start that conversation. But if the family member is not there yet, again, my recommendation is start the conversation. Start the conversation with them and say, hey, before we ever get to a place where we're making quick decisions because something's happened, beyond our control, or I just want to honor what you want, right? It's my desire to give you what I can with the resources available. And so we need to start that conversation now. And, when you have those conversations, when it's not in a place of vulnerability, sometimes that's a really great time to have those conversations, because they open up a little bit different because they're not there yet and they don't feel pressured. And then when the moment comes, you know what to do.
You already answered some of this question, and thank you for that response. So start the conversation, find out what's important to your parents. And my next question is family members. I'm hoping to lead you into an answer I think would be good. How can family members divide their responsibilities to ease the burden? You have that one daughter who's like the point person for everything. Any tips? Jessica, help me.
Be honest with each person's capacities and strengths. I can tell you, I have 3 brothers, and so I'm the only girl in the family. And so I can already tell you, without having the conversation with my brothers, who's strong at what and who needs to do the things. But then again, I'm the only girl, and they'll, sometimes, oh, sister thinks she knows everything type situation. So definitely be honest. Recognize everybody's capacities and strengths. Maybe one sibling handles the finances while the other one helps with appointments. Maybe, if somebody's in healthcare, maybe they have some background there. If nobody's in healthcare, that's okay. Create a shared calendar. Again, we have technology. Technology is so helpful. There's family calendars out there so that each family member feels like they're part of what's going on with mom or dad, aunt, uncle, whoever you're caring for. Any individual that you're caring for, that you've got other people, multiple people taking care of. Communication is key, just to keep everybody in the know of what's going on, and everyone can stay on the same page. And I find that often when family members are all on the same page, it avoids resentment. You don't want me to be a part of this. Why do you think you're just taking care of mom? And then sometimes the one that's doing all the things feels resentful towards the family member that's not. And so, is it a perfect world? No, but I definitely think there's ideas to try to prevent that from happening. Also, again, utilizing those resources again, and creating boundaries with your siblings. Boundaries are not selfish. They're often necessary. And when you're running out of, your tank is running on low, and you need to have those conversations, because again, like we mentioned earlier, you're no good to someone if your tank is empty. And so be honest, communication, and bring in that next person when you're starting to have that burnout.
That's fair. Communication is key. And one of the things, usually I have the child who's like, oh no, the others can't handle it. I do everything. Other ideas would be like, okay, I planned a vacation in a few months. Can you at least cover during this time? Or can you take this person, this appointment? This is information, because you have a shared note. Like, you can have it on the phone. There's a note you can share with people. So medications are changed. You have that. And you can have somebody help with the financial. Like, even though I can't be there because I'm out of state, I can send the resources to help fund for maybe a caregiver to come cover a time frame. So it's a question of help, and not, growing resentful in silence.
For sure.
So this is really good.
Good.
Now, how can caregivers set boundaries? You set boundaries. You're the one who started it. So how do you? Because whenever I say set boundaries, people are like, "Oh, you're saying I'm going to tell everybody I'm setting boundaries with you." So this is the boundary. How do they set it? Let's give tips.
I think setting realistic expectations. It's all about perspective, right? Sometimes we have to have tough conversations in everything that we do. And I think that when you're coming from a perspective of love, honestly, sometimes it's easier to have that conversation. So it's okay to say no to something if it's going to affect your energy, your ability to give, your ability to care for that loved one, and be honest. Again, honest, realistic, and it's okay to say the power of no. Sometimes you have to set those boundaries with your family members that you're caring for as well, right? They thrive typically on structure, right? Kids thrive on structure. Adults thrive on structure. Knowing what to expect, show up when it really matters. But definitely set those realistic boundaries, be honest, and tap in when you know you're about to run your tank empty, because it protects you and it protects the caregiver, because if you're exhausted and you're vulnerable, there could be a time that something happens, and we want to avoid that at all cost.
Yeah, it also helps to have create a community. Sometimes church members will call and ask you, "How can I help?" Oh no, I got it.
Yeah, allow the help to happen. Allow the help to happen. Definitely.
I gotta type that one. Allow the help to happen. It's gonna feel weird initially, but as you do it, you understand you actually increase your capacity because you can handle
delegate.
more.
Yeah, delegate. Take breaks. Recognize the signs of fatigue early. All those things are super, super important. And it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. But, be easy on yourself. We often connect families with those respite care options and tools just to help lighten the load, because caregiver burnout's a real thing. It's a real thing. And sometimes they don't see it coming, and then all of a sudden they're there. And so our role is to help, try to prevent that as best we can.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, any success stories? So, did any story come to mind about what this has done and how this has changed the life of maybe your client, for someone who's watching and say, you know what, maybe I should allow the home health aid referral that Dr. Olabintan has put in, and I was fighting before. What do you say?
Man, we've had a lot of success stories. We've had, even just this last week, we have family members sending us cards, saying thanks to mom gets to go on vacation with us again. The role of our job, or our company, is temporary care, right? We're not a long-term medical company. We always have that discharge in mind at evaluation. So our goal is to go in there, to meet with the patient first and foremost, to meet with the family, evaluate the level that the patient's at currently, and set realistic goals to achieve in order to get that patient either back to the level they were or better. And, it's pretty awesome to see. We discharge a lot of patients, and we discharge them at a higher level of function. And it's pretty soul satisfying. That's why I'm a PT at heart. Before I'm an owner of a company, I'm a PT at heart. And restoring lives is our number one. Man, it's pretty cool. And we often see repeat patients. They had a knee replacement done, and they're going to have the other knee done, and they're not going to anybody but us. And but taking care of those patients, taking care of those families, it's so satisfying. And it's our mission. And so we have a lot of success stories that come out of restoring function. And we always tell newer families and newer physicians that maybe don't know about us yet, just give us a chance. We can tell you all day long that we're different from someone else, and that, we can give you our fancy business cards and brochures, but you don't know who we are until we actually have an experience with you. And so, and there's a lot of great companies out there. So I would say at the end of the day, if you are working or you've been set up with any type of healthcare entity, do your due diligence to fill it out, right? See if it's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, it's okay. Go to the next one. You don't have to pick the first one that comes to you. Do your homework, do your due diligence, and see. Sometimes it's just a shift of a person, right? Personality clashes, things like that. So, and it's okay to, like I said, it's okay to not always go with the first one that you get as far as who comes out. Interview them, drill them with questions. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't use them. It's okay. We've and we're the type of company too that if we can't meet the needs of those patients, then we'll be letting the referral source know, hey, listen, we need to do what's right for the patient. And it's either we don't have the staff to handle it, or maybe it's a diagnosis that we don't have a lot of experience with. Our job is to transition them to the next company that does have a strength in that, because we're going to always do right by the patient.
I like that. For those of you watching, what has resonated with you the most? So what's something you're going to start to do? I want to make sure that we're tracking, because this is very good. And while they're putting their comments, and Dr. Ayo, I didn't want to thank you so much for your comment. She said, yes, caregiver burnout is real, which can result in bitterness and a sense of missing out in life, because they feel they can't go anywhere because they have to care for the so that's good reflection. But what final advice as we wrap up do you have for people struggling, for someone who's watching who's like, I don't know about all of this? Any last few words as far as words of encouragement for said child?
Yes, you are not alone. You're not alone. Give yourself grace. We often find family members that feel like they're out on an island. Nobody else is going through this. It's overwhelming. Remember, you're doing sacred work. You really are. I mean, caregiving is a big job, but it's so rewarding. So give yourself grace. Even on the hard days, it's going to be okay. Tap into your community, lean on your professionals. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's definitely strength in showing vulnerability. There is. It's real hard to delegate. It's real difficult to pass that baton, because oftentimes we feel like we're defeating, right? We've been defeated. We're, like you said earlier, we're backing out, and we're abandoning that loved one, and you're not. It's often more admirable sometimes to show your vulnerability so that someone can come in and help you. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Give grace. Caregiving is a hard job, but it's so rewarding. It really is.
Thank you so much. So
yes.
Jessica, where can people find you? For those who are like, I'm in Texas, I could use your service. Or my mom or my pops. Where can people find you, Jessica?
So our company is Restoring Function Home Healthcare, and our office is in Burleson, Texas. But we cover areas as far north. We're working towards, we're up through Keller, South Lake, heading towards Denton. We go as far west as Aledo, Weatherford. We go as far east as like Red Oak. And then we are down south towards Waco. So again, we cover skilled nursing, PT, OT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, CNA services, and sometimes social work, depending on the area. And we work under the direction of your personal physician. So as far as finding us, you can find us at restoringfunction.com. We also have a Facebook, Restoring Function Home Health. And we also have an Instagram account. So you'll see we're silly too. We work hard, we play hard. We've got a great team. We have 18 people on our administrative team, and lots of amazing clinicians working hard out there every day. And it takes every single one of us to do what we do. But if you're even if you don't have a patient on service with us, and you're like, you know what, I heard her speak and I just want a resource, please call us. Contact us by phone, message us on Facebook, whatever. And if you have a question, we're all about community too. So we can be a resource for you, even if the patient isn't on service with us, because it's still satisfying to us to help other people navigate that world, because again, it's overwhelming, and we want to be there for you because we know it will come back to us and we'll be blessed because of it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And yes, you will be. It's more blessed to give than to receive. I love it. Jessica, this was very good. We're probably going to do this again. I'd like to ask people to do this live, so you can say no.
For sure.
Okay. All right. So, thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Show some love to Miss Jessica and the chat. This was good. She didn't have to do this. She came on a Tuesday evening. She's actually watching the game, or she just completed watching the game with her son, and she decided to do this. This has been very informative. This has been very good. I'm trusting that our viewers have been encouraged. And as always, sharing is caring. And Jessica, they're saying thank you to you.
Yes, thank you.
We're appreciating you.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. As always, sharing is caring. Forward this to people who could use encouragement. For those who are taking care of their elderly parents or elderly family member or friend, send this to them to encourage them. There is hope. There is assistance. As always, I'm
Hmm.
Dr. Binton. Always delighted to have conversations with you to help you live long and well. If you or anyone you know is looking for a doctor like me who will partner with you and have conversations like this to help you live a better quality of life, so living long and well, I am she. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you, Jessica. I'll see you
Thank
around.
you. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.